A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express Papers Chandigarh edition. Now, the news topics that we are going to cover, so some of them I've mentioned. So, Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna, very briefly, we'll look at it from the point of view of prelims. It is there in the news. Second is drug trafficking. There was a regional meet which took place the north of India. So there is a discussion on drug trafficking, and there are remarks of the Home Minister. Now, this is an important topic from the viewpoint of GS3. I'll be sharing the PIB for the same. And plus measures to deal with the issue of drug trafficking. Then, in the opinion section, we have an article on MOTA. MOTA is many of the above. So this we'll discuss. This is written by a Congress representative. So very shortly, the important points I'm going to share. Then an editorial on NREGA, more people enrolling on NREGA. What are the implications? Then UAE, I couldn't cover. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I did not take the class. So UAE, we have an interview today of an UAE minister. From there, we'll look at the important issues between India and UAE. Moving on, there was a blast which took place on a bridge which was on the Kerch Strait. So this we'll see, this can be important for your prelims. Plus the Black Sea deal is there in the news. Then USA's finance minister, Janet Yellen, she was in China, now she has come to India. So there was a meeting took place between Yellen and Sitaraman. So this will discuss what were the outcomes. This is important. Then crude prices, India is looking at Iraq because Russia has increased the prices, and overall the demand for the fuel prices have, the demand for fuel has come down due to the monsoon. So first news now, eye on the polls and on opposition meet agenda. Okay, so you see, opposition parties are looking at creating a joint alliance against the BJP, right? So Congress plus other political parties are looking to create a united front. So what will be the name of the front? What will be the common agenda, common program? So that is going to be decided. Next, moving on, deadline missed. 23 states and union territories lose 1.44 lakhs of Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna units to UP. So first of all, what is Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna? Awas means house. Now Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna has two components. So one is Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna Gramin and other is Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna Urban. So Gramin is dealt by Ministry of Rural Development. These are things that UPSC can ask. And urban is dealt by Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, MOHUD. Okay, now here we are mainly talking about the Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna Gramin. Now the objective of the scheme was to create 2.95 crore houses by March 2024. Fine. So this Gramin houses, 2.945 crore Pakka houses were to be built. Pakka means permanent type of houses were to be built. Okay. Now for this is a centrally sponsored scheme. For this, the center and states pool in funds. So funds are provided to the beneficiary who makes these houses. So money is provided to that person. So this is under the scheme, and for that the money is contributed by both center and states in the ratio of 60:40. So the center and state split funds in 60:40 ratio. And the prime responsibility of implementation, that is on ground, this thing is of the states. Okay, so this was about the Pradhanmantri Awas Yojna. Now moving on. Now what has happened is that there are the states who did not, did do the formalities, that the registry of the beneficiaries. So 1.44 lakh houses of the respective states have been handed over to the Uttar Pradesh. Now that is a different thing, that Uttar Pradesh is very election sensitive. For election it is very important. Let's move on. So at meet, Shah proposes public shaming asset seizure of drug trafficking. So which meet we are talking about? So this was a meet comprising of the regional states, the northern states. Here the Home Minister and other chief ministers, etc. They are discussing the issue of drug trafficking. So let us see what the Home Minister is saying. What are the important pointers he is saying? And the same thing is actually mentioned in the PIB. So it's actually taken from this news article over here. This PIB is basically covered in this news. So first thing he's saying is that drug smuggling is national security risk. This is something that can be directly taken up for your GS3 mains. How is drug smuggling related to national security? So a question was asked on drugs 2018. So India's proximity to two of the world's biggest illicit opium growing states has enhanced internal security concerns. So drug trafficking and internal security. Explain the linkages between drug trafficking and other activities such as gun running, that is arms trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking. So what countermeasures should be taken to prevent the same? So this question is directly dealing with the issue of drugs and national security. So fine. So when somebody is moving out drugs, so for that, when drugs, guns also go sometimes. Trade is also taking place. Money laundering is also finance. Criminal activities are there. So they are all interlinked. Okay, so drug smuggling and national security. I think we should make a separate video on this. Moving on, harsh punishment should be given. Harsher punishments. By the way, we have an NDPS Act for narcotic substances, and stringent punishments are given. Then the matters of finances should be looked into. So Enforcement Directorate should conduct financial investigations on such matters. So that should be done. So they're looking into the issue of financial dealings, shady financial dealings, money laundering. Besides the drugs, India is between two opium growing areas. So one is the Golden Crescent. Please visualize from the map the Golden Crescent, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran region, and the Golden Triangle to the northeastern states, to the south of the northeastern states. So that area is Golden Triangle. So India proposes that this should be changed to, from golden, it should be made death triangle and death crescent, because it is dealing with drugs. Now, so there is one set of measures which can be taken, which we already have, right? Drug smuggling should be treated as national security threat because it involves certain elements. Harsher punishment should be given. Financial investigation should be done. So we have the points. We have the points over here. So this is what the Ministry of Home Affairs will naturally do. Now, look at it from social perspective. The Ministry of Social Justice has a scheme known as Nasha Mukt Bharat Action Plan 2021. For UPSC, these years are not important, but I was noticing for some state PCS and some other exams, the years are also very important. So Nasha Mukt. So we'll just keep cutting it also. Nasha Mukt. Yeah. So Nasha Mukt Bharat Action Plan 2021. So this will focus on 272 most affected districts. By the way, we have around 600 districts. So 272 most affected districts by looking at three pronged attack. So one is by looking at supply issue, Narcotics Bureau, then outreach by social justice, creating awareness so that the demand for the drugs is affected, and treatment. So people who are addicted, they should be de-addicted, they should be brought into normal life. So for this, the action plan has the following components: awareness generation, focus on higher educational institutions. So awareness will go from there, university campuses, community outreach, focus on treatment facilities in hospitals, capacity building programs for service providers. So these are the main points. So this is under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Now we move forward. There is this article on solid waste management specifically for Chandigarh, but I think solid waste management is a local urban news, urban issues. Plus, it deals with the matters of environment, so GS3. Now, here mainly the main point that I could note was that the solid waste that is coming in every, we are not able to process that waste. So these are getting dumped, and we are having more and more of landfills, which is a concern. Now, what can be done to deal with the issue of solid waste management, right? So how can that be done? So some points are there from the PIB again. So we should look at behavioral change. We should look at segregation of waste, source segregation of waste. Source segregation means, let's say, households are the source from where waste is coming. So at the very basic level, at the source level, the waste should be segregated. Then innovative models of circular economy. Circular economy means that we are looking at the complete life cycle of a product. So from production to end. End is the finish when the product is finished. So the product can be then recycled. So recycling element comes into circular economy. So innovative models, innovative approaches to recycling, how we can get back the material, extended producer responsibility. Producer has made something, now he has its responsibility of recycling it also. So those approaches should be seen. Then we should also look at data management and technology like GIS, tracking of waste transportation vehicles, etc. So this is basically this thing that has been highlighted. So this was a PIB, PIB on waste management, and experts have given their opinion. So the last one over here has summarized the key pointers. So yes, so waste management. So regional conference on drug trafficking and national security, Himachal CM, Punjab CM. So they are all discussing this matter together. Now this is a good example of cooperative federalism, where the center and states cooperate on matters. Okay, flood related news. So basically with floods, they're saying that the rivers are getting choked. So the ability of the river to draw the excess water is getting affected. So the rivers should be unchoked by desilting the rivers. Because of the sand, everything is deposited. So the water is not able to flow through it. So desilting should be done. Next is, as water recedes, it has been noticed that much of the paddy crops have been gotten affected. So they will have to retransplant. The farmers have to retransplant in 2.5 lakh hectares of land. Now the problem with this is that there is not adequate time. So you see, we are in July. July is about to end. We're mid-July, and by October, the rabi crop has to be grown, right? So a rabi cycle will start. So Kharif is this period. So if the transplantation, etc. is done, if the field is already gotten bad, so we have very limited time. So the scientists, people from the agricultural university, Punjab has a lot of agricultural universities. So they are suggesting fast yielding variety of rice. So they're suggesting rice of PR126 and Pusa 1509 for Basmati should be cultivated. Now, I think this you can use to enhance your answers. Suppose you're writing on answers or you're writing something on stubble burning. So, stubble burning is also related to clearing the land for Rabi cultivation. So, you can mention these fast yielding variety of paddy which can be done. So, this will get adequate time for farmers to clear the land without burning. Right. So, this you can use it later on. So these have been suggested. Besides, direct seeding of rice has also been recommended. So instead of transplanting, go do direct seeding of rice. So a lot of direct seeding of rice is there. So we should prepare an analysis also on the same. So drinking water concern is there. Cloud burst in Kullu. So things are still bad. Kullu, Manali. Okay. Infiltration Jammu Kashmir militancy is there. It's increasing. More and more of news is coming on this. So G20 finance ministers meet had taken place in Gandhinagar. So global economic growth remains uneven, need coordinated efforts. I think this should be clear. There are concerns with the health of the US economy, with the health of the UK economy. Then there are certain countries which are facing Argentina, etc. inflation crisis. So the global economic growth remains uneven. We need the cooperation of the world countries. So G20 are the more prominent group. Now here we have an interview of the UAE, one of the ministers of the UAE. So from here we'll take out the key takeaways from India UAE meet, plus also understand the dynamics between India UAE relationship. Fine. So that's our focus. Answers are fairly diplomatic, so we'll have to rely more on the questions. So questions posed by the journalists. So first one is that since Prime Minister Modi has come, so the relations between the regional neighborhood, actually overall regional neighborhood, has gotten an impetus, and this includes the relationship with the UAE also. And this is UAE is a part of India's extended neighborhood policy. Second, 2 economic agreements were signed between India and UAE. And then CEPA. CEPA is Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Right? So this has led to 15% growth in trade. So growth in trade is taking place, and overall trade is 85 billion, including oil. So oil is actually the main thing, but $85 billion. So we want to increase this trade. Now talking about trade, one more important thing about India UAE, this thing is economic relationship is UAE has lot of money, lots and lots of money for a very small country. So India needs capital. UAE has abundance of it. So we are seeking the UAE capital for infrastructure development in India on multiple aspects. For example, construction of national highways. In fact, we have gone into the model of toll operate transfer. That is, existing roads, existing highways are being, the rights of those highways are being transferred. So a lump sum payment is taken, and then on that toll is to be collected by that private player. So UAE has provided a lot of money to that. Likewise, UAE has provided us money for creating strategic oil reserves. The condition was that one of these oil reserves was to be for UAE. So like this, lot of money is going, we are seeking capital from the UAE for infrastructure development in India. Then there was an MOU between IIT Delhi and the UAE's Abu Dhabi Department of Education and Knowledge. So an IIT would be set up in Dubai, UAE. Next, diaspora, that is Indians in UAE, are very important. So 1/3 of their population, 1/3 of UAE population, the residents, are Indians. Indian diaspora. So diaspora does influence the foreign policies of a country. Next, both India and UAE are concerned with extremism, religious extremism, and terrorism. So both countries are working together on the same. And there will also be security cooperation between Indian agencies and Emirati authorities. Emirati means UAE authorities. Besides, UAE and India are working together on many diplomatic forums. So one of them is I2U2. I2U2. I is for India, I is for Israel, UAE is for U is for UAE, and the other U is for USA. So both countries are working together in this regional cooperation. Now, this India's entry into the I2U2 means India is playing a key role in the political developments of West Asia. Right? That is the significance. While UAE, etc., has the presence of the US and India. So that's it basically. Then above all, there is always a China factor. So China has been playing an important role in the region. So what does Saudi Arabia look into it? Because we also have certain reservations with China. So UAE, again, a diplomatic answer, but basically saying that we live in a multipolar world. UAE minister is saying we live in a multipolar world. We are no longer a unipolar world where there is just USA. So we have to balance out our relations with all stakeholders, which includes China, India, US. So that's what the person has said. Now moving on to the editorial page. So moving on to the editorial page now. To the moon and back. This is about the Chandrayaan 3. I'm not doing this, right? Same repeated things. What is the mission about? Then what are the benefits that Indians will have? We've done it multiple times. Next, we come to the editorial, the stress signals. This is about Narega. More people are availing work under Narega. Unemployment rate among youth highest in urban area is high. Now, why are we talking about more people seeking work under a scheme of the government, which is known as Narega? This is not a good sign. That is the problem. So more people are joining. So the scheme touched 3.04 crore. This is 10% more than those who did in the same period, that is June-July period. So 10% more people have enrolled in Narega. Now, Narega is a scheme that provides employment, livelihood security in rural areas for unskilled manual work, physical labor work for this. This is provided. Now, if you imagine if youth wants to do unskilled physical labor work under Narega, it means that these youth are not getting more fruitful employments elsewhere, because this is the least desirable work that anybody would want to do. It's not a very desirable option. You may want to do farming, you may want to work in a factory. Right? That will provide you much better remuneration. The conditions of work would be better. But the youth is enrolling into the scheme. So this reflects a kind of a rural distress. The scheme is for the rural sector. So this indicates the signs of a rural distress. The conditions are not very good. Unemployment rate is rising. So there are not adequate non-farm jobs. Plus, even during the farm time also, if the cultivation, after a point of time, the farmers also go into the Narega. Okay, so this is the problem. So this again does not look good for the health of the economy. Now moving on. That's what is mentioned over here. Besides the rural sector, even the employment prospects in urban area are also not good. There are signs of stress in urban areas as well. The unemployment rate in January-March 2023 by the Periodic Labor Force Survey says that age group between 15 to 29 years, the unemployment rate was 17.3%. So this was that. But the only problem I have with this data is that it is only talking about the age group 15 to 29 years. Because in urban areas, a lot of people in this age group are into college or seeking higher education. So this will not be the best analysis. Now coming to the next article, that is love and punishment. So if we read this, it will be very clear. Criminalization of romantic relationships is overburdening the judicial system. Parliament must weigh in on age of consent. So age of consent is about sexual relationship, and the age of consent in India is 18 years. So a lot of cases are coming to the courts about sexual relationship between man and woman, of course, uh, where the where the girl is a minor. Now, in such a case, according to the law, that is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, uh, sexual relationship with a minor, that is age 18 years and below, 18 years below, will be treated as rape. So severe punishments are meted out in this context, even if the relationship is consensual. So recently, a case had come to the Bombay High Court where the junior court, the subordinate court, had given rape, given this verdict as a rape punishment. So Bombay High Court said that you need to revisit this age of consent, and this punishment is too harsh. So it should be revisited, age of consent. So in India it is 18 years, but in many countries it is at 16 years, 14 years, and even 13 years. So with the more present day times, we should revisit the law also. Now over here, obviously this article is about looking into this. The 22nd Law Commission was also, Law Commission looks into the revisiting of the laws, reforming the laws. So they were asked on the matter. So they said that the age of consent, they are not willing to change it. It will remain at 18 years. And what they want to do is they want to create awareness about the law. Next, we come to the issue of MOTA. So voters should be able to choose many of the above so that the parties don't need to enter opportunistic electoral alliances. So this will help into the issue of alliances. So let's take the example of Maharashtra politics. So there is the BJP in Maharashtra, which then there was Shiv Sena, then there was Congress and NCP. Initially, when the elections had taken place, it was understood that BJP and Shiv Sena are an alliance. Later on, Shiv Sena went to with this group, and later there was a division, and a part of the Shiv Sena MLAs joined with the BJP. Now again, NCP MLAs, some of them have gone and formed an alliance and formed the government. They formed the majority and formed the government. Now you see the problem over here. You see opportunistic electoral alliances. For instance, NCP voter, NCP is like Congress, and those who vote for NCP are not approving of the ideology of the BJP or the Shiv Sena. Fine. Now, so they don't want the BJP sector to come to the power, but NCP MLAs later on moved to the BJP camp, BJP Shiv Sena camp. So it is suggesting that we should have many of the above, that is, a voter can vote for, in the present day politics, we have pre-poll alliances and post-poll alliances. So the voters should have the right to vote for multiple parties. Let's say Shiv Sena, Congress and NCP have an alliance against the BJP. So we can vote for Shiv Sena, Congress and NCP, which implies that they have not voted for BJP. So this will act as a deterrent against forming an alliance with the people with which the voters have not voted for. So that is the idea of many of the above. So this system is called the approval voting. It's a well-researched voting methodology as in the UN, then internal primaries in the US sector. Right, so this is there. So winner is determined by the candidate with the greatest number of approvals or tick marks. So voter votes for multiple parties. So whosoever gets, let's say somebody voted for 4, somebody voted for 3, somebody voted for just one. So like this. So whosoever has the highest number of approval, they will ultimately win. So that is the idea. So this will help reduce voter fragmentation. It will help reduce this will be in reality with the present day politics of alliances. Pre-poll alliance in particular, these days Gathbandhans are formed, so pre-poll alliances. So it will be in mind, in realities in terms of the alliances, the pre-poll and post-poll. It will deter post-poll alliances against unlike kind of political parties, so differing ideologies. It may also help reduce the issue of defection. Okay, so this was many of the above. Moving on, SETI interrupted. This is the opinion. Very briefly, we'll cover it. This is basically telling us that we need to create better public infrastructure. The city should be treated as a public good, not a private assets. We should look at the public good. By the way, this is a concept in your economy. Public good is something that is applicable, that is available to all the entire population. So we should look at the public goods like water commons, green commons, material commons, housing commons, land commons. So that should be the approach. We should follow a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down approach to urban development. Then we need to focus on a public transport system. So public transport system should be encouraged rather than just making roads and focusing on, for making it easier for private transport. Public transport should be preferred. Now here different approaches for public transportation is given. So tax on the use, tax curbs on the use of public transport. So disincentivize public transport, having cycling infrastructure, walking pathways. So that has been recommended. So not much actually in this article. Moving on to the international section. With reference to Russia and global food security, Russia and Ukraine are known as the breadbasket of the world. There a lot of wheat production takes place, and Russia had previously, in the previous year, they had a Black Sea deal. That is, even though the war is going on, they will allow the export of grains from Ukraine, Russia to elsewhere in the world. Now, in this year, they were not keen on having this Black Sea deal. They said that it was only benefiting their adversaries like US, etc., and not the less developed countries. So that was one thing that was going on. Now there is a second news, that is there is a bridge that connects Crimea in Ukraine. There is Crimea with Russia, and this passes through the Kerch Strait. Where is Kerch Strait? It connects the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, and on the Kerch Strait there was this highway, there was this bridge. So a bomb blast had taken place. Russia is saying that Ukraine has done it, and Ukraine never liked this bridge because this bridge was used for deploying troops into Ukraine. Now, with the destruction of the bridge, the ability of supplying grains is gotten affected. Right, so that is what is it. And in the world markets, the food commodity prices, etc., have gone up because of this speculation that there will be shortage of the food, shortage of wheat in particular. Nepal is saying that open borders with India is creating troubles like drug trafficking, smuggling of arms, weapons. Besides, fugitives crossing the borders. I think if we follow Bollywood, also old movies, the criminals would then prefer to go to Nepal and from there elsewhere. So this is a problem that they are saying. By the way, Nepal border is patrolled by Shastra Seema Bal. Okay, next. Now about the border also, Nepal shares a 1850-kilometer border with India, and there is no restriction on Indians and Nepalese moving to and fro from the border. So the easy movement is permitted. So they said that we want to have some sort of checks so that these issues can be addressed. European Union seeks to revive Latin America, Caribbean ties. It turns away from China and Russia. So European Union is clear, an alliance of about 28 countries of Europe. So it's seen as the voice of the whole of Europe. So they want to have good relations with Latin America. Latin America means South America. So good relations with this. Plus Caribbean is obviously the islands, the West Indies, so Caribbean, the North America. So in the summit, they said that we want to invest more into these two regions. And this will be part of European Union's Global Gateway Scheme. So EU, European Union, was planning 45 billion euros of investment in Latin America and Caribbean as part of its Global Gateway Scheme, which is seen as a counter to the Belt and Road Infrastructure Project of China. Right, so I think a Global Gateway Scheme is about infrastructure creation. So it is on those lines, and it is the idea of European Union, like Belt and Road is for China. Now coming to the economy section. So first of all, G20 finance ministers meet, and here we have Janet Yellen, who was earlier in China, now comes to India. So she's like the finance minister of US and finance minister of India. So here Janet Yellen's has said about India US. So she says first is that they'll be working on a funding platform. So a funding platform would be created. So investment platform to deliver low cost of capital and increased private investment. So low cost capital and private sector's participation so that India can see energy transition. So from polluting sources of energy to clean energy. So that is one thing, funding platform for energy transition. Next remark is on multi-development banks. So multilateral development banks. So one is World Bank, IMF. Now more multilateral development banks are being talked about, like BRICS Bank, like SCO Bank. So other banks, regional banks are coming up. So she's saying that we are okay with this multilateral development banks because it will help unlock about $200 billion of capital, and which will help create more infrastructure, it will be more good for the society. Third point that was mentioned was India's historical, India has approved of the proposed two-pillar global tax deal. The multinational companies, they have presence in different countries. They work in they may be having their headquarters in USA. They may be selling things in India, operating in India, but they'll be paying tax to Mauritius, a low tax haven. So that is how things go. So they manipulate so that they don't have to pay taxes in high tax jurisdiction. So for that, there is this two-pillar global tax deal. Presently don't know much about this. All we know is it will ensure a fairer distribution of profits and taxing rights to countries. So we need to read more into this, but we don't know at the moment. Okay. Petrol diesel sales fall as monsoon ebbs demand. So demand is low because of monsoon. So yeah, we should expect the fuel prices to come down. Then there is an article over here, oil refiners look for more term contracts, longer term contracts amid uncertain markets. So fuel markets are very, very volatile at the moment. So, and at the present times, the refiners, etc., who buy crude, they are placing spot contracts. Spot contract, as the name suggests, spot contracts means at the immediate, at a particular point of time. Me and you, let's say, have a deal. So at the very spot, we make that decision. Ideally, the people want price stability. The industrialists, refiners, etc., they want price stability. They want long-term projections. So rather than going for spot contracts, it will be beneficial at the moment where we expect the prices to go up, that refiners and crude exporters get into a long-term agreement that irrespective of what the prices are, the actual prices are, the prices will be fixed over here. Let's say the crude prices are $70, $80, $90, while here the agreement is at $70. So it will remain as such. If the price falls, if the price rises, the price will remain the same. So now they want long-term or term contracts. They want price stability. India dials Iraq as Russian oil loses charm. So Russian oil has gone beyond $60 per barrel. So India is now looking at other options like Iraq, etc. So India is looking at Iraq to supply oil. Plus, in Iraq has been supportive and India's great partner. Right. So this is it from today's newspaper. This is the explained section. I'm not doing it today. So that's it from today. Thank you for streaming into our channel, IASPrimers.